Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superboy Legacy. We're going to be doing another commentary today, and it's for what might be one of the worst episodes of the show. We're not as excited to do this one as we usually are, although we'll probably have fun just making fun of it.
Yeah, there's a shudder going down my spine as we're getting ready for this.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. This isn't one of the best episodes. But, we've actually hinted at in a couple of previous episodes where, we had requested commentaries, and I just knew that they were the bad episodes that were being requested. And so my memory just sort of failed me. I was like, I think we've been requested to do Black Flamingo.
Yeah.
And we just figured, you know what? Why not just do it anyway? This isn't the one that's been requested. I did get it wrong.
This is like a Band-Aid. We just gotta yank it off.
Let's just get this done, move past it, and then we can say, you know what, we never really have to watch Black Flamingo again unless we actually want to. Yeah, we have been talking about possibly doing a second run of commentaries, purely because some of these episodes we'd quite like to watch again. I know Metallo is one of those episodes. Kryptonite Kills we've done before, which I think was one of our first commentaries that you and I did.
It actually
together.
was our first commentary together.
Yeah, so I think, it was a couple of years ago now, I think. Right at the start of COVID.
No, it was like July of COVID year. So July of 2020. So in 7 months, it'll be, at 5 months, it'll be 3 years.
Wow. So, I think it'd be fun to revisit some of these episodes. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Plus, there's episodes that I've done commentaries on with Sam, and it was before you joined us. I think it would be fun to revisit some of those.
Yeah, like the Rhodes episodes.
Yeah, Metallo. Yeah, the Rhodes episodes I think were the first things I recorded with Sam, but it would be fun to actually go back and watch those ones again, definitely. But yeah, you notice I'm talking about everything but Black Flamingo at this moment.
You're procrastinating, Tom. You're procrastinating.
I really don't want to watch this one. I'll be honest. Thank you, Motorbike Guy, for interrupting. Maybe he's trying to send us, a signal. He's just saying like, "Don't. It's not worth it." Anyway, if this is your first time joining us, this will not be like a typical YouTube reaction video. This is a full-length commentary, and as such, you will not be seeing any of the actual episode itself in this video. You will need your own copy of the show to watch alongside us, whether that's the DVDs. You can buy it on YouTube. It's on Tubi. However you watch the show, even if, you Jack Sparrow it, we'll count you in with a 3, 2, 1 play, and just hit play when we say play. So let's get this going. Season 1, episode 23, Black Flamingo. 3, 2, 1, play. So yeah, I'm hoping. I'm holding on to hope because it's a Superman show, so I'm holding on to hope. Maybe this one will be one of those episodes where it's slightly better on a rewatch. Like Phantom of the Third Division, where we had no hopes for it being good. We actually watched it purely because we felt like watching one of the bad ones and ended up liking it more. Please, Black Flamingo, please don't be as bad as I remember.
You're begging now, Tom. You're begging.
Yeah, I'm begging a show that came out the year before I was born, as if it can hear me.
And looking at the way it starts, I mean, it has a good setup.
I mean, you know, much like the Invisible People, it's a great concept. You know, he's got this earpiece in, and it's kind of hypnotizing him into being an assassin. I
And
like that.
it's a teleplay by Carrie Bates, a story by Bernadette Dominguez. Okay, so any of the good bits are probably because Carrie Bates came in and did his rewrite.
It's funny. I'm just getting flashbacks to the episode of Stargate SG-1 when O'Neill tries to take out President Kinsey.
Yeah.
I think they did it better. But then they did a lot of things better. You know, not a terrible moment as he flies up and stops the would-be assassin. I mean, I've said it before, I'm not a huge fan of John's whole karate sort of moves as he flies. I don't think it really works for me.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that I think really let down that moment. You know, the opening of this episode is better than I remember. It's once you get to the club that things start getting cringy. Gotta love the 80s hairstyles, haven't you?
I don't know about that.
You gotta love, you know, I wouldn't actually want to have a 80s hairstyle like that, but it's a sight to behold.
And of course, the yuppies get thrown out. TJ with blue hair. Oh boy.
You know, I don't hate it.
And Lana.
I would say Lana's hair is worse. And, you know,
Yeah.
Stacey can pull off a lot of different hairstyles and outfits. I don't know if anyone can make that hair look good. But then I realise I'm coming at this from someone that was born after that was the fashion. So it's always going to look strange to me.
Yeah.
It's like when I look at, you know, certain 70s hairstyles and like the disco era. It doesn't quite work for me. But so where did Clark get the snake from?
I have no idea.
It's like maybe he went to, like, you know, the local zoo and just broke into the reptile center and stole their snake. I'm sorry, a guy burst through the doors on a motorbike with a giant snake around his neck. I wouldn't be insulting him, even if I am the bouncer of the nightclub.
You know, gotta say, the first time I ever watched this, I could tell that was John.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? You know, but I will say this. In a world where just simple glasses can stop people recognizing Clark as Superboy, this would be a pretty effective disguise.
Yeah.
He's gone one step further. And I bet those, the people that got kicked out, or rather weren't let in a moment ago, because they don't look punkish enough, I guess. I bet they wish they'd stuck around now because they could have got in after this. I'm sorry, but why do they look so bored? They're at this nightclub and everyone looks bored. If it's that boring of a club, why do you even go?
Because they got nothing else to do.
I guess. Is TJ's like hair dye streaked down his face, or is that intentional, do you think?
I think that's intentional.
I never know with this fashion. I mean, yeah, it is obvious that that's John, isn't it? You know, I don't know if anyone was fooled by that.
Well, obviously Lana and TJ were.
No, I mean anyone watching, anyone in the audience. You know, we've established that in the DC universe, is a simple pair of glasses can disguise you, but you know. You know, I don't hate the Black Flamingo logo.
Yeah, it is kind of creepy and out
cool.
there.
Yeah.
And as villains go, you know, Mr. Ager here he's not that bad.
No, he's not.
He's certainly not one of the down parts of the episode.
No, definitely not. He's got a good look to him as well. Like, he looks quite intimidating in a way. Like, you can buy him as the boss, is what I mean.
Yeah.
It's an interesting moment. Clark speaks Russian, apparently. Or maybe, you know, he's got some... we talked a little bit at the end of one of our recent episodes where we talked about Clark's super brain. Maybe he just read through a Russian dictionary, translation dictionary or something, and it was recent enough maybe that he can retain some of it. Does he look like a policeman?
No.
But then again, I suppose if he was undercover, that's exactly what you wouldn't, you know. You would be purposely trying not to look like a policeman.
Yeah, unlike Anthony LaPaglia in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, I do like the Black Flamingo logo. I'm tempted to remake it in Photoshop and get it printed up as a sticker. I can put it on my wall above my Batman 66 thing here. Like I'm a member of the Black Flamingo Club. And I'll make the sticker free to download for everyone. So if you want to have one made up as well, you can. I don't know why you would want to, but I think it's a pretty cool logo. I'm sure there weren't cameras that small in this at this sort of era.
Well, you never know what the government had.
But I mean, something TJ could get hold of.
Yeah.
Well, this is positively seizure-inducing.
Yeah.
Oh, even I'm getting a headache, and I'm not epileptic at all. Was there an episode of Superboy that had a seizure warning? Is this the episode? Or am I thinking of Lois and Clark or something?
I don't know. It could be the Lois and Clark episode. I still don't know how he's actually not getting affected by this.
Hmm. I'm not hating this episode as much as I remember. It's pretty cringeworthy, a lot of those club scenes, but it's not that bad.
I mean, our villain's plan is really, it's ingenious.
Yeah, it's a clever plan.
So technically, he could be considered a supervillain because of the technology.
Yeah. Technology-based villain. Be right back.
Although technically, isn't this the same plan that Ricardo Montalban had in Naked Gun?
Do you know, it's been a long time since I've seen Naked Gun. I think I saw it once when I was a kid. I have very little memory of it, really.
Sensory-induced hypnosis.
Yeah, you can see why I briefly disappeared. Someone wanted to be let in. Good boy. Good boy.
Didn't figure her for an agent.
No. You're right. It's a good plan for a supervillain because even now he's got a Russian agent in his office threatening him with a gun. All he has to do is tell her to give him the gun once he's got the thing activated. There's nothing she can do.
And the fact that he turned her months ago, and he just mentions that now.
But let's face it, he just needed someone to be in the club while he's doing this. I mean, it's affecting Superboy, or at least for a minute. See, obviously he can fight through it, but nobody else can.
Some of the faces on the on the hypnotizees just look a little too off.
Yeah. But it's clever. They apparently have no memory of what just happened, so they just continue dancing. The only part of the plan that is dumb as shit is giving them like everyone that goes to the club those badges, so immediately establishes a connection.
Yeah, I mean, if this was done now, this episode, the police would go to the club and say, well, the gentleman who tried to kill the senator was wearing one of your badges. And all he'd have to do is say, I give out thousands of these every night.
Yeah.
I can't be responsible for the actions of somebody who's wearing a badge.
Yeah. And they said earlier in the episode they've given out hundreds of these things. But yeah, I don't know if anyone watching found this as an actual twist that worked. Yeah, it's fun that he uses, super breath. He could have just punched the guy out.
Mm.
Like they'd have a shot, Like they've any chance at all of killing Superboy. The guy's bulletproof, Like he technically doesn't even have to fight back. He could just stand there. They probably all break their fists, they break their hands trying to punch him and stuff.
Which is why he's trying to push them aside.
Yeah. Where now he's flying up. Like, I would have just done that from the beginning. Just rip that thing off his neck already.
Yeah, that's what I would have done, but not knowing how the technology really works.
Yeah, you don't know if it's like hooked into him somehow, like into his brain or something. You could end up killing him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or worse, if you rip it off and crush the thing, it might not shut off the programming that's been done to the kids.
I'm guessing it would just wear off after a while.
But, Superboy has always, erred on the side of caution when it comes to stuff like this.
I think people in the audience would have known who he is, I think, during that epileptic scene with the flashing lights when it had the close-up on his eyes, because no one else had eyes like that. Like they made John wear contact lenses so his eyes would be unnaturally blue.
Yeah. I think his normal eye color is brown.
Yeah. Like those contact lenses work a lot of the time, but there's some scenes where it's a little bit uncanny. Like Kryptonite Kills, like at the very beginning of that, when like he collapses in the lecture hall, his glasses come off and you see his eyes close up. You can tell they're contact lenses. No human being has eyes that look like that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it does kind of remind me of a comic that came later. I think it was Birthright, where they said that Superman's eyes are unnaturally blue, which is part of the reason he wears the glasses as Clark, is because it actually dulls the color of his eyes. It desaturates them slightly.
Yeah. I gotta say, Birthright is still one of the worst comic series that they ever did.
I don't hate Birthright. I think it ends badly, but there's a lot in it I like. It's far from my favorite origin, though.
And this is where we start seeing the beginnings of the nerdy Clark.
Yeah, it's funny. It almost makes me think that he's starting to learn the beginnings of what will become his secret identity. Like he's still experimenting a little bit, but it does play, especially since this is right at the end of the first season. It almost makes you think maybe, maybe the summer between semesters at college is when he decided, actually, that worked quite well. They believed that I was terrified of that snake. Maybe I should do a bit more like that.
Yeah.
It plays as a progression of the character. So you know what? I was pretty down on this episode before we started. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that good.
It's not. Yeah, it's not good, but it's not a bad episode. Well, it's not that bad of an episode. There's a lot of cringeworthy moments, but I think the villain is interesting. I think he's got a cool idea for a plan. I think it works. At no point, I don't think even for a second, anyone in the audience didn't know that was John.
Yeah.
Because it's really obvious, especially like even once he starts speaking, you know, I think he's trying to put on a slightly more gruff voice, but he still just sounds like John.
Yeah. I mean, up until he takes the glasses off, you could kind of think, okay, maybe it's somebody else. Maybe. But once those glasses come off, it's like, yeah, that's
as soon as you
John.
see those contact lenses, it's like, you know, they wouldn't put them on anyone else. Like that's just him.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not a great episode, but it's not an awful episode. It's like
I would say it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I'd say it's like a 5 or a 5.5.
Yeah, you know, I'd even go so far as to give it a 6. Because I think the villain as a concept, I think works. I like the whole hypnosis turning people into assassins. I think that's an interesting concept. It's far from a good episode. I would not give it any more than a 6. 6 is the absolute limit of.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It has a lot of potential. I'd say it has more potential than something like The Invisible People, which completely failed in its execution. I would give The Invisible People maybe a 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
But
I think the reason why this episode is as good as we are giving it is because, you know, while Berta Dominguez originally wrote the story, Cary Bates, you know, did the teleplay. He made it that much better.
Yeah.
You know, and given that he had such a storied career working on Superman, you know, in the comics, we know he can write. You know, so he probably took a look.
He's written so many Superman stories at this point. You know, it's pretty safe to call him an expert on the character.
Yeah, I mean, he probably was. You know, probably Mike Carlin came to him and said, "Cary, can you take a look at this? It's just an awful episode." And he probably said, "All right, let me take a look." And he's like,
you know, though, maybe, you know, often when someone comes, like if there's somebody has a story by credit and then somebody else has the actual like script credit, like the teleplay credit, a lot of the time it's because the person will have a really great concept for an episode, but then somebody else will come in and actually write the thing down.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe the concept was just the owner of the nightclub. He's using hypnosis. He's like mass hypnotizing people at the nightclub to become assassins so that he can, you know, assassinate political people and all this stuff. I think maybe just as a concept, it worked quite well. And I don't think the execution is too terrible. I think the flashing lights were legitimately giving me a headache in some of those scenes. It loses a point. It loses a full point just for that alone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think that's something that they really should have given more thought to before actually going ahead with it.
I will say this, as opposed to the one of the last episodes we did, which was Troubled Waters. The bouncers look a little bit more intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. The villain in general, I would say, is more. He's better developed. He's an interesting character. You know, we don't get much time with him, but I mean, these are 21-minute episodes. You don't get much time with anyone unless it's a 2-parter on this show. And I think they established the character, what he was doing, how he was doing it, and I think all that stuff was interesting. I think the club itself had some interesting graphic design. I think the logo's kind of cool, but I genuinely might try to, you know, make that into a sticker or something. I'll put it on my wall behind, just for fun. Yeah, I don't know. This episode it's nowhere near as good as Troubled Waters was. I was surprised at how much better that episode was than I remembered.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, maybe this could have gone through another pass as far as the script.
mm.
And
But
I'm
it
not
was
saying,
towards the end of the season. Maybe they, maybe they were running out of money and they just had to wrap it up quickly. And one of the things that happened was they just rushed a few scripts into production just so they could get it done. I
yeah,
don't know.
but if you look at some of the other end of the season episodes, like Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood has such a great polish on it.
Yeah, Hollywood is, I'd say Hollywood is in my top 3 season 1 episodes. Like it's one of my favorites. I love that episode.
Yeah, Succubus. I mean, that's the second to last episode. It's not great, but it doesn't feel rushed.
Yeah. Uh, I've said it before. Succubus is not one of my favorites at all.
Yeah.
I didn't like that episode particularly, but it's not terrible. I would say that Succubus is at least a little bit better than this.
Yeah.
But and obviously the season finale was Luther Unleashed, which granted you've got Scott Wells' acting, which is always going to drag it down, but he is the best he ever was as Luther in that episode. So that was at least, I'm glad there was some improvement. Sherman Howard was much better, obviously, in the role, but I don't know. Part of me would like to have seen what Scott Wells could have done if he, kept up his acting lessons and kept trying to improve. Maybe he would have been better in the second season. Who knows? But yeah, his behaviour on set probably, there was no possibility they were going to be bringing him back if what Michael Manno says is true. And if you want to know what that is, we've had Michael Manno on the show a couple of times. Just go back and watch it. It's a lot of fun. Michael Manno's awesome.
Yeah. He's got a great sense of humor too. So
absolutely. And, I've said to him, I want to get him back on the show whenever he wants. Basically, he just has a standing invitation. If he just wants to join us at any time, he's always welcome. Yeah. And he said he'll voice Leo for season 5 when we bring in the Leo from a parallel universe. So that'll be fun to actually have him play the character again. Especially since I want to know if he can still do the Leo voice, because Leo and Michael Manno have very different voices. Like, Leo is not. Like,
sure
Michael Manno has a very strong New York accent. Leo, not so much.
Well, he probably can do it.
I think he can. I'm excited to see if he can. And it's a testament to his acting, the fact that he was able to drop that New York accent, because I assume that's the accent he's always had. So he would have had to have made a purpose choice to drop it for the Superboy.
Well, he talked about it a lot in one of the videos that we did. He said he took a lot of acting classes, and he, it's just when you look at what he did and what Scott Wells did, it's almost the same thing, except Michael Manno seemed to have had the ability to apply it a little bit better than Scott.
I think he just took it a bit more seriously. He wanted to do a good job. I think Scott Wells wanted to do a good job as well, but I think Michael had more talent.
Yeah.
Maybe, if Scott Wells had had an extra couple of months of acting lessons, maybe they would have been on the same level. But, there's a reason why Leo is kind of a beloved character, whereas Scott Wells is Lex Luthor, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, you when you look at Scott from his first appearance in Jula Technical up to Luther Unleashed, it's definitely a shift.
Yeah, he improves, just not quite enough.
Yeah, but that being said, had he stuck around for season 2, had he gotten the acting coaching that he needed, took more acting classes, who knows? He might have been what he said in that audio clip that we had, the interview that we had with the Starlog writer. Maybe he would have been, what he wanted to be, which was, a young Gene Hackman.
Would have taken a hell of a lot of work. I don't think even if he'd stuck around for all 4 seasons, he would have ever reached that point personally.
Yeah.
He improved, but nowhere near enough. But yeah, I don't know why we're still talking about Lex Luthor. It's just the fact that it's the season finale, and the last few episodes of the season. Black Flamingo is kind of a strange one in that it is a lot worse than these episodes that surround it.
Yeah,
but there you go.
It's
but
not...
then you have early episodes that don't, like, the quality doesn't match the episodes around it as well. It's like, I know we're both fans of A Kind of Princess, which is a very early season one. Isn't it like episode 3 or 4?
3. I think it's 3.
Yeah, so it's like really early on, and I still maintain A Kind of Princess is a damn good episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so it's kind of funny. Black Flamingo is a bad episode surrounded by good ones, and A Kind of Princess is a good episode surrounded by bad ones. It's interesting how that's kind of a shift. Well, I don't even know if that's the right word. I don't think it is. Anyway, what did you think of Black Flamingo? Is, like, if you watched alongside us, and I hope you have, because I think it was fun to revisit this, even if we weren't really looking forward to it at the start. Do you agree? Do you think this episode is slightly better than you perhaps remember? Or are we just looking for anything good we possibly can to justify watching it?
There's always that possibility, Tom.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of that, for sure. But yeah, let us know. Maybe you've always liked this episode. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure. I don't think it's as bad as I remember. I think it genuinely has some really interesting stuff in it. And I do like the villain. And his plan is interesting. And he is one of the first real super villain characters in Superboy. Apart from him, you've got like the alien in Revenge of the Alien and the Alien Solution. Or you've got Mixus Pitlick, who I wouldn't really count as a villain. He's more of a nuisance.
He's a pest.
He's a pest. Absolutely. But yes, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Obviously, as we've said in a few of our recent commentaries and podcasts, apparently YouTube's algorithm, the way that it decides which videos get recommended to people, like to find new audience members, is viewer engagement. So if you do have the time, please just leave us a comment. We'll respond. We'll get a little conversation going. Apparently it helps. We don't like asking for likes and shares and subscribers because it does make us feel a little bit cheap. But at the end of the day, we want to keep making content, and we kind of need the audience to grow a little bit more just to keep it going in a way, because people drop off all the time. So we need a constant, it'd be nice, just to get a few more viewers, as much as we love the viewers we've already got, and we will keep doing this even if we don't gain any more subscribers. But yeah, I'm probably justifying it too much, but we really do appreciate all the comments, and yeah,
absolutely.
We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.